Hello. All right. We are live for my sculpting panel, my last speaking panel for the day, I guess. Uh, and we are going to be sculpting with monster clay today. After watching Brian's panel on ZBrush, it makes you wonder why I would be sculpting in an old media, but partially because it's fun, partially because it's cool to get your hands dirty. But also, this is what Aradani has used for years for sculpting different things, from horns to ears to masks. Before we had 3D printers, this is the stuff that I was sculpting with. I guess I've gone through quite a few different things. I went through regular ceramic clay, and then we used a thing called clean clay for many years. And then once I found out about monster clay, we really just started using that for everything. It's really fun medium to work with. It hardens. It can get real soft if you get. See if you can sort of see. Got a heat lamp going over here to get this nice and soft, and then it can also, you can harden it by getting it really cold and then sanding it down. It can stretch a bit, so it's got some really neat properties to it. And what I'm going to work on is I've got two things I've been using for reference for drawings. One is a dwarf head. I actually 3D printed, I took a human skull and I squished it down, stretched it out to give the proportions of a dwarf. And then now I've come back and started putting the clay over top of it. And then also a dragon, which I used a long time ago for one of my paintings. And I just thought it'd be neat if I finished these up and then maybe molded them so that way I could, always have one ready, painted up, different skin tones, and use it as reference for drawings and other things. I actually used the dwarf head just the other day. It's up on my Instagram, my personal one. It might be in the Discord chat too, but I used this guy as a model for a drawing that I did, and it made it a lot easier to figure out where the shadows are going to hit and the wrinkles and things like that. So we're starting out two things that are sort of halfway done, and we're just going to sort of build up on them and see what happens. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is build a neck on this dwarf guy because it just sort of looks weird as a floating head here. To do that, I'll just grab out a bit of the clay. Now you can see it's very, when it's heated up, it's very pliable, which is nice. And then you can get in there, and then as it hardens, it makes it easier to add texture and add detail and things like that. It also, you can have a heat lamp on it. You gotta be careful because sometimes it can get a little too soft. It also warms up with use in your hand. What it is they have some wax inside the clay, so that gives it the ability to warm up and get, sort of melty. You can actually bring it all the way down to a liquid and pour it in. We've done that before with certain things, like a long time ago we had one of the original sculpted ears that we had like a hairline fracture, like just something really small like that. And so we actually then took it, made a mold, and then made this into, liquefied it, poured it into the mold, and then pulled it out and all. And then I could just sit there and erase the little scar in it like that. And then we fixed one of our ears that we had for a long time. So it's got many different uses. Definitely enjoy this medium. Oh, hey, Britt. Oh, yeah. I was, 3D printers open up the world to so many different cool creative things. I've got a bunch of those skulls still at the office. Maybe I'll sell dwarf skulls. You don't have to sell everything, but it just seems like a lot of people would like dwarf skulls, right? think he's going to need a little bit more of a chin. Maybe we can build it up underneath, sort of just bring it forward. I use, I got a bunch of different tools that I use. One of the things that we also work with at the office is a thing called Magic Sculpt, which is a 2-part epoxy. And you always have a little bit left over at the end of every sculpt, no matter what you're doing, you always have a little bit left. So what I've done is I will take them and make them into different tools of all different sizes. You know, like this one's got a little hook on it. You don't know when you have to go in and get something. And then you've got stuff ready to go whenever, you know, instead of buying a bunch of expensive tools, you've sort of used waste clay to make any tools you need. You can use it just to sort of smooth things out like that. Get rid of the lines. Guess I should get this neck to where we can set him down where he's like looking at me. Oh yeah, goblin skulls would be cool too. I could scale that up enough. You know, take the dwarf skull and change it a bit. Now, I gotta make sure that I don't get too long of a neck here. One of the things now, pretty much all the art and sculpture I do is all based in my world of the Dark Return from the Sagaborn role-playing game. So whenever I'm making stuff, it's normally from my head that exists in my little fantasy world. And so the dwarves there, you know, they had almost not have much of a neck at all because they are very wide people, which is why I made the head so wide as well. Also made sort of a flat top to his head. I'm not sure if I like that. Sometimes I like the dwarves that have the real big, tall foreheads. That might be neat to add on to him. I don't know, maybe there's 2 different types of dwarves that have very different facial features. Just like with most other clays, when you're doing the detail work, you tend to make little noodles and blend them in. I think it'd be cool if we went a bit larger with his nose too. I always like those drawings where the goblin, the dwarven nose sort of hangs down over their mouth. Let's see. All these things I got. There we go. Got to have the tool I'm looking for, right? And that really changed his look already. Yeah, need some bigger nostrils in. Is anyone out there watching? Does anyone sculpt in real media anymore? Just wondering what you use. techniques. I'm always down to hear how to do things better. Just worry about getting the rough shapes in right now. Not about smoothing it out or anything. That'll all come later. Got a couple different tools for smoothing out. One of them that I waited too long in my sculpting career to get. Let's see, do I got it here? Yeah. Like really all it is, one is a little rake. If you can see that, it's got these little sharp teeth along here. And then this one, which is just basically like two big guitar strings strung around each other. But man, if you do these two things on it, you can really smooth down an area really quickly. Like I'm just sort of shaving off the top parts real quick. Just like that. And get this guy in here. And then you got pretty smoothed out area. Not perfect. Didn't do it long enough. Tell you one thing that's really bugged me about this dwarf is his lip. Need a wider mouth. And sit up in the corner. Guy almost has like a Brian Froud look to him. Oh, hey, Steven. Long time, man. I think it's totally funny that I probably think of you way more than you might ever imagine. I have been running a campaign, Sagaborn campaign for my wife, my brother-in-law, my closest friend, and my mother, and they are trying to stop a lich from putting together AradaniCon. And for those of you who don't know, Steven was in a band called Keymaster that I love, and they had a bunch of great fantasy metal songs. And I still to this day listen to the album and obviously take some cues from my RPG world building from them. I mean, how can you not start a fight against a creature called AradaniCon? So basically what's happening is AradaniCon was created to kill gods, and one of the gods tore his body apart and spread his pieces all throughout the lands, and now someone's trying to find those pieces and put them back together and my players are trying to stop him, stop their enemy from putting together Armageddon. I hope you think that's cool and you're not going to sue me for using your creation in one of my games. It's my mother's first D&D type game. She plays an old cranky elfling with a wooden leg, and she likes shooting goblins with her bow. As she quoted the other night saying, "I just don't know why I like the killing part so much," which I think I want to get a shirt made for her that says that, because that's amazing. Oh, new music project. I'm down with that. You know, if you guys need any art, I know a guy. So what I've done, I've made his nose quite a bit bigger. Added a little bit of a neck. Is he starting to look sort of like a dwarven Captain Picard, or is that just me? I think neck looks good in the front. I think I need to pull out some of the back. That right out. There you go. It has a better curve to it. Next thing, we gotta put some ears on so that way it doesn't look like such a that way it looks more like a living being and not weird potato head. I must be on a Star Wars mindset tonight because I'm thinking he looks sort of like a Ferengi. Sort of a quiet panel here. It's earlier when we were painting masks, they made the joke that Aradani, because we had to keep waiting for the paint to dry, is AradaniCon, like watching paint dry. So this would be AradaniCon, watching Mike roll noodles. I need to adjust it so that way I'm sculpting over here closer so that way you guys can see better. For me, I don't know about anyone else that sculpts. One of the things that takes the longest is sort of the most boring is like, if you see like there's a lot of rough spots on top of the head, you just sort of, there's lots of like rolling up tiny noodles and just filling in those spots. Some of the hardest sculptures I've ever done are really smooth, flat prosthetics to put on people for shows. Back when the TV show Defiance was on, I made a Defiance forehead. Arathiant was the name of the race. And, you know, it was basically just like a flat ridge that covered up your eyebrows and smoothed into the nose and on the side of the eyes there. And you'd think that would be easy, but getting it all proportioned and then getting it super smooth, you know, when you do like a troll or a witch or something like that, you know, you got lots of wrinkles, lots of fun stuff to build in there. When it's something that's like just super smooth, it's just blending. Not as much fun stuff. I love sculpting wrinkly stuff all day long. For it entertaining. I don't know if I go as far as call me entertaining. Sculpt some earlobes on him there. Let's see. Let me just scoop out some of this ear here. All right, so it's okay. I still don't like his lips at all. So I'm going to give him, I want it to be sort of chunky in the middle, like a big lower lip. Thin it out in the sides. Hope I'm not breathing right into the microphone. When I make art, I tend to breathe very heavily. I once accidentally got into a horror movie because of that. My friend was the sound guy out in LA, and they needed to film someone cutting stuff out of a magazine. And so I was like, well, hey, I can do that. And so I started cutting stuff out of the magazine, but what I didn't know was I was breathing through my nose so heavily because I was concentrating on what I was doing that Weinstein snuck up behind me with his uh, boom mic and started recording my breathing. And then he said that the opening credits were going to be way creepier because of my heavy breathing in them. It's good to know that me making art is horror quality. All right, so this is starting to look a little bit more natural of a mouth. Pretty hard to sculpt a mouth underneath a nose like this, though. All right, so he's already changed quite a bit. I think I want to, now that we brought the nose bigger and the lips bigger, it's sort of thinned down the bottom of his face there. So I think like bringing a jaw out. Now, of course, most dwarves, you would imagine having a beard. So what I imagine myself doing is sculpting this out, molding it, and then I would have making it in plastic. Then I could come back and add as many different styles of beards that I wanted to the plastic mold instead of doing it here. So there you can see, brought out the jaw a little bit instead of having it recessed. If anyone has any questions about stuff, sculpting wise, obviously you're quite welcome to ask. And if I know an answer, I'll share it. I almost need some music playing for this. All right, well, got him to here, about halfway through our hour, so we'll switch over to the dragon. But first, I'll show you one of the tricks with this. All right, so let's give him thing with monster clay. Just put some wrinkles on this guy. Now, if the clay is real warm and soft, what you can do is you put some saran wrap over top when you're making these wrinkles, and then it pushes down into the skin, leaving very realistic wrinkles. But what I'm doing, okay, so we got that. So we just sort of like chopped them up a little bit with some wrinkles on there. Do I have my, there we go. So I got this tool. I'm just going to sort of give him some big pores along here, his forehead, on the tip of his nose. And some brighter light here. And once you got all that, I have rubbing alcohol over here, though normally at work I use lighter fluid because that works really well. And then I just paint over this, and that is going to smooth down those wrinkles. It's going to give it more of a flesh tone. It looks really scary now with all the, looks so glossy. But something like lighter fluid or alcohol with this sort of clay is going to wet it down, smooth it out, and sort of blend things together. That's one thing I was talking about, smoother skin earlier. Skin is never really that smooth, though. You gotta, if you're doing a high-end appliance that's going to be on somebody, you know, really look at the part of the body that it's on. Everybody has wrinkles and pores everywhere, and you know, you can actually get pretty wild with stuff and it still end up looking like skin in the end. All right, so got this guy to here, which is a pretty big jump from where he was. Set him over there. Now we'll move on to this dragon. So this one was hastily sculpted, and then I broke it for a painting I was doing last year. first thing I'm going to do is pop off these horns. Because if I'm going to make a mold of this, I'll probably hollow these out, sculpt some horns out of something that hardens, and then cast those separately. All right, and while you pull up, minimize this, and pull up. I've got some dragon art reference. Now, everybody has their favorite dragon artists, and mine is, if you want to talk about dragons overall, like the full body of the dragon, I think anybody that's from my age group and after is going to tell you Todd Lockwood, because that dude took dragons, and when I was a kid, I was like, oh yeah, that dragon's cool, but it didn't look like it was going to run around in the world. It didn't look like it was going to take off flying. It looked like, sometimes it was literally a crocodile with wings, which is no good at all. And other times the wings just look so wimpy. Like how in the world is that wing muscle going to pick that thing up and take it flying? And Todd looked at dragons and said, you know what would be a good dragon would be a cat body. And also let's put some muscles in those wings. And that was the first thing I noticed when 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragons came out, was those dragons, they had this bulk in their chest that looked like it had the muscles to lift up into the air. And I was like, oh yeah, this dragon's for me. And I loved all the different styles that Todd came up with for 3rd edition D&D. But when it comes to a dragon face, I love Jeff Easley's dragons. He did the cover of the 2nd edition Dungeon Master's Guide. He just did a lot of stuff. Maybe my favorite painting, one I looked at the most when I was a kid, was I had the Art of Dragonlance, and he had 2 paintings of what was the guy's name? It was like Lord Verminard, I think. Verminard, I think, that with 2 A's, if I remember right. And there was a painting of a dragon, and its head was coming around the throne, and Verminard was there, and he had his hand out, he was pointing. There's all these little cool sketches of all different ways that Easley tried out his fingers. And I love that painting. In fact, if you look at the painting I did last year, I used this dragon for Caldrith and Miragal, sorry. It's definitely my own take on that Easley Dragonlance painting. But that's just to say, I love Easley's dragon faces because they're so mean. One thing I've never liked about this little fast sculpt I made is the front lips of this dragon. I don't know what's going on there, but it needs to be fixed. So let's just scrape those off. It looks like he's got like hippo lips or something. I think I just painted it differently in the painting. Or maybe he's got hippo lips. Someone could go look at that piece of art and say, nope, Mike, you painted the hippo lips. Oh, man. in another RPG game that we're playing a Cyberpunk Red game right now, and my wife is the frontman of a band called Velvet Laser, and I should have them come up with a song called Hippo Lips because they're definitely goofy like that. I think also he needs like a little point in the front of this face. He doesn't have any teeth back in there. Wonder if I could sneak some in. See, I'm not at the studio, Aradani's main studio down the street. I've got everything I need down there. You never remember to bring everything home. And I know I've got some, just made a whole bunch of teeth and spikes and stuff. So that way, whenever I'm working on stuff like this, I don't have to sculpt them. I can just, grab some already made and hardened teeth and eyeballs and put those in. That's what you need. You just need a little nose. I just got a little crocodile tooth sticking out there. Hopefully it needs another one. Coming down. Maybe. Second tooth coming down. Don't know. We'll see. Watch, I'm going to put a little lip over that tooth, and it's going to turn immediately into a hippo lip. Oh, I know, Steven. Isn't Velvet Laser so perfect? Such a good, like, cyberpunk band name. And, of course, I've made a website for their campaign. I made a graphic for their band. I think I even bought... They have a fanboy in the game, and I think I already bought their fan website. It's like Velvet Laser Forever or something. I don't know. If you get me on a roll and a couple of beers and you give me a good website name, I'll end up buying it. It's an issue. All right, so we got this side fixed up, and now switch over to this one. Now, see, here's a big difference from working in clay and working in 3D. Is you do something really cool on one side, and then you're like, oh man, I gotta match this up on the other side. How am I gonna even do that? When I sculpt elf ears, that's the thing that takes the longest. The first one's like super quick. And then I'm like, oh, now I have to make the left side ear. Oh man, can I find out what the website is real quick? Oh man, one time I was having a get together. My old roommate was really good at pushing my buttons. Not pushing my buttons in a bad way, but getting me going and getting me like excited about doing dumb stuff. And I ended up buying 5 websites that night. I got Ultimate Mustache, Ultimate Beard, Ultimate Bush, and UltimateTurd.com. I had those for like 6 years until finally I realized I was spending like $60 a year to have these websites that were just a joke. I once got in an argument online with somebody who didn't believe NASA. And so I said, well, who are you going to believe? UFOsarereal.com with a Z. And then everyone was disappointed because that wasn't a real website. So I went out and bought it. Had that one for years. And then finally, I actually ended up making a game called UFOs Are Real. So that way I could use my website that I'd had forever. It's like the game Werewolf, except it's in the 90s and you're in a cabin and someone is an alien, you know, because in the 90s with X-Files, we were so concerned about aliens getting us. So here, if you want to check it out, it is UFOsarereal.com. I think that's, what if I misspelled it wrong? Oh, yeah, it's wrong. I don't even know my own sites. Oh, there we go. Ignore that last one. That's the real one there. UFOs are real. I even made the site look like a 90s website. And you can download the game for free from that. Oh, I know it looks weird because I don't have his little beak thing centered. See, when you use ZBrush to sculpt, you can just have it do symmetry. So when you do something to one side, it does it to the other. Well, with monster clay, I got to click that button on myself, and I'm not good at it. I added like a beak thing, and I don't really like it. I think this is going to be a struggle. Now it looks like a Skeksis, not like a dragon. Let's just flatten off that front, see what happens. There we go. That looks better. More reptilian. Another thing I like in a good dragon is when they have like a good gullet underneath their neck. Is that what that's called? The like little pouch that hangs down on animals? I'm using this cold clay. It's harder to blend in. Oh, there you go. See, I love that's where it needs to come forward a little bit more. Put a neck pouch like that on a dragon and then like put all these spikes sticking out of it. To me, that's a super cool look. Yeah, there we go. All these delicate things like teeth sticking out, and now I'm smashing them around everywhere. Another thing I always like is to make the neck of the dragon look muscular. You know, it's not just a snake with wings. There we go. That's pretty cool. Better feel. See what I think I'm going to do if I mold it is pull all these out and then make some really thin spikes out of the magic sculpt so it's hard, and that stick them in so that way those spikes are all sticking out. I'll probably need to get Brian, who works with us, to help me make a mold for it because he's better at mold making than me. Blend in these. So there's armor plate things here. I don't know if those would run all the way down its body, but maybe they're just some neck protection. All right, so now we got a nice part crocodile. Exactly what I said I didn't like. As long as the body doesn't look like a crocodile, though. I think I need to. This back bulge here needs to be built up on this side. All right. Oh, a gizzard? No, a waddle. Interesting. All right. Waddle. Is that the southern word for it? I'm sure we got some crazy word for it. Sure, here in the South, we have a crazy word for it, and we have a recipe for how to cook it. And that recipe calls for a lot of butter. I'm just saying. All right. Well, we got a couple minutes left. Does anyone have any questions or comments? I'll take some pictures of these and toss them up on the Discord so everyone can see them where they're not off camera. God, have I been sculpting up here the whole time? Sort of see, that way you can see what I've done. Thicken up the neck and the back. All right, so we are getting close to the end of AradaniCon. We got the costume contest that's going on in the costume channel, where people will be voting on that for the rest of the night. And then the attraction that most people came for, I imagine, is the late night dance party. I got Zoom set up with a link, and we'll have a big mosaic of people dancing. The music will be playing through Discord. So you'll load into the Discord chat to hear the music, and then we'll be muted so that way we don't get a bunch of echo in the Zoom. And we will have some drunken dancing there. All right, so we got a beardless dwarf and a dragon, mortal enemies, sculpted at the same time. Well, thanks a lot, everyone. It was good hanging out. I have seen, I've seen nobody during the pandemic, really, except digitally. So I will look forward to seeing you, Britt, at the next show. I look forward to seeing your new band, Stephen. I'm going to go follow you in any way I can. I need some new songs in my rotation to inspire me to make some more creatures. Well, thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you in the Discord. All right, bye.